Yo, what it do, y'all? It's your man Mike Ty in the Gaming Savant here with my homeboy Dom, Freshly Snipes, and we today are going to be giving y'all a top 10 games of 2019. Um, Even though it doesn't feel like it, there was a lot of stuff that came out this year. Um, like what Sekiro came out, the Outer Worlds came out, new Call of Duty came out. Just even though once you like think about it, but once you actually look back and see what actually came out, there was a lot of good games that came out this year.
Yeah, I agree. Some not so great, to be honest with you. Some of them that was supposed to be so fantastic didn't really turn out that way. In my personal opinion, Death Stranding. But it was a lot of good games that came out this year. I think this is probably what it wasn't like a lot of just noticeable games, but if you count like the indie games and a few original IPs. And when you think about the games that was patched up, I think Star Wars Battlefront 2 probably had a better year now than it did, when it first came out. So it was an interesting year for video games.
It definitely was, especially going into next year when we got new consoles dropping. Technically, a new console dropped today if you count Google Stadia, but that's.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
that. But to start off, we're going to do our honorable mentions because, as we said, there was a lot that came out, and we had some that didn't make the top 10 for whatever reason. But Dom, go ahead and start with your honorable mentions.
One of them is one I just mentioned was Death Stranding. And the only reason why it is at least an honorable mention because of the story. I will say I did enjoy playing, basically a UPS worker for Dimensions, because that's basically all you do is building bridges to the packages and whatnot. But the gameplay was just, I wasn't feeling it, but it was a Hideo Kojima story, so that to me is really what saved it for me personally. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, it almost made the list, but I haven't beat it yet, so I wouldn't feel right putting it, in my top 10 without actually being able to complete the game. But I will say it is fantastic. It's basically what the Force Unleashed should have been. And last but not least, Kingdom Hearts 3. Look, we was waiting on this game forever. Finally came out. I enjoyed it. Shout out to my boy, Donald Duck with the heat. And yeah, that's it. Shout out to Kingdom Hearts 3. So those are my honorable mentions.
All right, so for my honorable mentions, as y'all know, I play a lot of stuff. I don't finish a lot of stuff, but as you get older, you like to test out different things. So a couple of these would have made my list, but since they're remasters and one of them is an alpha, I only put games that actually came out this year on my list. So that's why they're on the honorable mentions. First one is Tales of Vesperia Remastered or Definitive Edition. This is probably my favorite JRPG. I played this when it originally came out, like in 2011, 12, 13, somewhere around there, and it was good. If you just like tropey JRPG fun, then this game would definitely be good, especially if you're a fan of Tales, which is live action instead of turn-based combat. Next one's Final Fantasy VIII Remaster. As y'all know, Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite of the Final Fantasy series because that's the first one I played back in '98. Honestly, the only difference in this game is that they have where you can speed up time, you can turn off random encounters, and they updated the player models. The background still looks horrible. So
okay, before you continue, I remember watching you play it, and I was just like, "Ooh, y'all didn't remaster everything."
No, not at all. They was like, "All right, we can do the play." Well, let me phrase that. The main characters, characters still look like PS1 or whatever console this came out on. But it's a good game, and plus Triple Triad, which I really wish they would make into its own game, kind of like they did Gwent with Witcher. Probably one of my favorite mini games ever in a game. Next one is called Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. This is a game that I literally saw someone stream, and I was like, oh, I'll try it out. It's $30. Basically, what it is, it's like think of like Star Fox, except for you're a space mercenary or space rebel. Basically, you're looking for your aunt this is actually a sequel to Rebel Galaxy, which you're playing the niece of the main character from the first game. And basically you just go around doing missions trying to find out what happened. Actually, I think your husband's missing. You're playing the aunt from the first game. This is a prequel, now that I remember. And you're trying to find your missing husband or something like that. But it was a pretty okay game. I only put maybe 2 or 3 hours into it. Didn't put too much time. But from what I did play, it's very enjoyable. Space dog fighting is kind of the name of the game. You actually get in your spaceship, fly around, and you can tweak some very minute details that you would normally get in a regular space fighter. But it's an all right game to try out. My next one, and this is solely just because I'm not a huge fan of this series, but I did enjoy the game while I played it, was Gears 5. I played a little bit of the story. It's all right. Like I said, I'm more of a Halo person. I did enjoy the online multiplayer for what that is worth. I sucked at it. I can't do an active reload to save my life, but you know, it's a good quality game. I'll put it like that.
Wow.
Next one is Griftlands Alpha. So this year I got heavy into card battle turn-based RPG games. Basically where you build a deck and then you go on, kind of like another game that's on this list that I'll get to. But it's an alpha. It's really good. If you have Epic Store, I advise you to try it out. It's only like $15, and they're adding more content to it. But it's got kind of a cartoonish aesthetic to it. You build a deck, and you have 2 types of decks. So you have your actual combat, where you like whittle down your opponent's HP, and then you basically have a debate deck. So you can kind of talk your way out of getting in fights, but you gotta like you have like an aggressive debate, or you have more of like a sensible debate. But it's a really good game overall, and I advise anybody who has PC and Epic Store. It's an alpha right now, but it's supposed to be coming full release in 2020. Really good game. Next one, which I wish I had more time to play, and that's the only reason it's on here, is Metro Exodus. Started playing Metro Last Light in 2033 last year in preparation for this game. Love both of those games. It's a good mix of survival and first-person shooting.
It's the mutated rats, fam. I just can't get with it, bro.
I mean, it's easy. You just put a couple of bullets in and just go on about your day.
It's a big ass project rats, fam.
Oh man. But yeah, overall Metro Exodus was a good game. Literally I put maybe 2 hours into it, so from what I played I enjoyed, but I can't really put it on my list. Other than that, the only other ones I have on here, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. This game probably would have been in my list if it came out like 4 or 5 years ago. It's a good game, but it's one of those games that you play and you're like, all right, this is like playing a game that was made for like a decade ago, but trying to be more up to date. Also, the CPU companions is horrible. This game is really good if you play with actual people, but if you don't and you try to play with the computer, it's difficult to try to do those combo attacks. But yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, if you like Marvel, they actually have the X-Men in it as DLC, I think, and some of them were in the base roster. It's a pretty good story overall, and like I said, if you're a Marvel fan with the Switch, there's a Switch exclusive, definitely try that out. And then the last one, which you already mentioned, Kingdom Hearts 3. Was never a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. Love Disney, love Final Fantasy, even though they're not in this game, but they're going to be in with the newly announced DLC.
Which was dumb.
Yeah, which, I don't know. Maybe it's licensing issues or something, I don't know. It was an all right game. Story's still convoluted. This gives Metal Gear Solid series cutscene length money, because literally after you complete the Hercules stage, I counted. I put on a timer. It's about 33 minutes of straight cutscenes. I think there's like a little side battle that you do as Mickey or Aqua or somebody. But other than that, like once you beat that, you go straight 33 minutes and then you finally get to take control. So, but overall, it's a cool game. I got stuck at a part where I just didn't really care to finish it, so I may go back. But if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, go ahead. If you're a JRPG fan, get it while it's on sale. But yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, that's all I got for my honorable mentions.
That was basically the whole list. Now I'm just messing with you.
It could have been.
Yeah, it could have been. But so I guess I'll jump it out for my number 10, and My number 10 is Need for Speed Heat. I felt like considering the past misses that we've had with Need for Speed games, you know, whether it was like they just didn't know what they wanted to be. First, they tried to go like uber realistic. Then they tried to go back to like, you know, the most, you know, Need for Speed Most Wanted. But I feel like this was a good mix between like Need for Speed Underground and like the original Most Wanted on PS2. Because in my opinion, those are probably some of the best Need for Speed games. It was, you know, the good old back to basics approach where, you know, you took off in Miami. Well, my bad, Palm City. Like, come on, bro. It's obviously Miami. Now, I got the dynamic of, I did like the fact that you can, you know, go between day and night whenever you want to. Now, the only thing was you had to choose, though. Like, if you needed more, you know, if you needed more upgrades and stuff for your car, you had to, like, do a lot of racing in the daytime. If you needed a lot of reputation, you had to race at night. Which sounds fine, except for the fact that you mainly need rep to get the stuff that you actually need for your car. So for the majority of the time, you are going to be racing at nighttime, which is fine because honestly, Palm City looks way better, you know what I'm saying, at nighttime drive than it does in the daytime. You know, daytime is more of the sanctioned regular street races, and you know, nighttime is where all the shenanigans takes place. But overall, it was cool. The storyline was basically just to knock out Fast and the Furious, you know, minus Tyrese crying and stuff like that. So storyline wise, it was cool. It was okay, but I actually enjoyed playing this Need for Speed game, especially because the police felt like it was like the PS1 laws. Like, only thing missing was like them dropping nitro like they used to from the helicopter back then. But my number 10 game of 2019 is Need for Speed Heat.
Good. That one was unexpected. I actually tried the trial version of it with EA
Access.
Yeah, EA Access. You know what? If I actually still like racing games, I actually would have played it because the racing felt good.
Right.
I don't know what they're trying to say. Where like at the beginning that the cop literally suggested to kill you.
Dog, I was like,
wait a minute, what?
This got dark real quick.
It did. I was like, okay, all right, Need for Speed. All right. But yeah, it was a good game from what I played. My number 10 is Far Cry New Dawn. As y'all know, I am a huge Far Cry fan. I've played all of them, basically all of them, most of them to completion. Reason New Dawn is number 10 is it's basically more of 5, but kind of stripped. Basically, it takes place like 17, 18 years after the end of 5, which, spoiler alert, if y'all know, basically the U.S. got nuked, the U.S. got nuked. And now you're living in the aftermaths of that, which is, but it's a good game if you like regular running gun gameplay, pretty much that. Still do upgrades. This game, story-wise, it's okay. They have these 2 black twin sisters who I think are like British music stars in real life, as an antagonist, which is cool.
They twin Sade, is that what you saying?
They're like twin Azalea Banks.
Ew.
Yeah. But they're cool. They don't really show up that much during the story. They show up in the beginning, and then of course, like once you get like 2/3 of the way, and then of course you have your final boss fight with them. Overall, it's cool. You kind of get to see what happened to Joseph Seed, the main villain of the first game, in this game, where he kind of goes into hiding, not hiding, but seclusion, and he has a son, and you gotta do missions for him. And yeah, overall, it's a cool game. It's kind of more of the same. Only thing that really had an issue with was the mission structure. So like in Far Cry 5, you actually did like story missions for people. And this one is like, hey, go to this area, clear out all these bases, and then you can do a mission, which I was like,
what?
Yeah, like you had to clear stuff, you had to gather stuff. Like it's basically kind of like Saints Row, where like you got to do side stuff to get enough points to do a new mission to continue the story. So that was the only thing. So I had to do a lot of side stuff that I didn't really care for to get through the story. But yeah, overall, it was a good game. And that was my number 10, Far Cry New Dawn.
All right, my number 9 is actually a game that you have on your honorable mentions. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I'm not gonna really spend a lot of time saying why, because it's more of a nostalgia thing for me. And when you think about everything you literally just said, that's the main reason why it's on my countdown, because I do enjoy Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 and X-Men Legends, Rise of Apocalypse specifically. But the camera angles are still horrible. But I will say I did have a good time like playing it though. So for me that was enough. And to go along with another game that's on my list, it was a good nostalgia trip. So my number 9 is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 for the Nintendo Switch.
Okay. So my number 9, which is probably a lot of people's number 1 game, is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Reason this one is number 9 is I tried to get into Souls games, where you want to call them, a couple years ago. And this one I was like, all right, it's like ninja, it's in feudal Japan. I like that setting, let me give it a try. It's like at first you really think that you like about that Souls life, and then you actually get into it, it was like, no, I can't do this. Overall, the game ran really well. It does have a story. I still don't really know what the story is. It's like you have a king or emperor, and you're protecting his son, and then you get some disease called the dragon rot, which lets you come back from death and all this other stuff, and then you affect people if you keep dying, and then you get it's weird, but the gameplay is really cool. I think I got through maybe the first 2 official bosses, and then I was like, all right, I think I've had my fill of this game. And yeah, but overall, it's a really good game. If you like those Soulsy, trial-hardy games, I'll say this will be right up your alley. But that's my number 9, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
I can't be mad at that. I mean, hey, this is why this is our personal favorite list. This ain't the popular list. My number 8 is going to be another sequel, another third in the franchise. But Shenmue 3 is my number 8, and it's been what, since 2001? I want to say, since Shenmue 2 came out, but I feel like Shenmue has always kind of straddled the line between, like everyday gameplay and, what I'm saying, the epic fights. Even though the fights aren't just as grand scale as like some of the, what I'm saying, the newer games out. Just the little interaction you have with little bandits here and there, what I'm saying? Like, that's a grand scale for a game like that. It feels exactly like the second. It picks up literally right where the second game, what I'm saying, jumps off. Now, once again, I will be honest, if you have not played 1 or 2, you're probably not gonna like this. But considering we did play Shenmue 1 and 2, like this game was made for people like us. Like the game looks beautiful compared to,
Compared to its original.
Yeah, compared to its original looks. But I mean, the controls and stuff like that is still like the old Shenmue. So I mean, that can kind of get annoying here at times. But I thoroughly enjoy playing Shenmue 3. Honestly, you do not have to make a Shenmue 4, but I think they are anyway. But my number 8 game is Shenmue 3. Thank y'all for finally making it, though. I will say that.
You know what they say, better late than never.
Unless you're Duke Nukem forever.
Yeah, well, that can be never. So my number 8 is going to be Rage 2. So with this game, I wasn't a huge fan of Rage 1, but I did play it, beat it, and then I played it recently whenever this game got announced on Xbox, I think. And it was a pretty good game. It was good for what it was. So basically what Rage 2 is, because this does take place after Rage 1, I'm not sure how far, but I think the original villain from Rage 1 comes back in this game, and you gotta fight him again. Honestly, it's basically Doom 2016, Fallout-y with the attempt at an actual story, I'll say that.
Throw in a little Mad Max too, you know what I'm saying? It does have a little Mad Max feel to it.
Yeah, with vehicle combat and everything, and there you got Rage 2. Honestly, the only reason this game is on my list because the moment-to-moment gameplay is super fun. Like the shooting, killing, clearing out bases, the powers you get. It's good. It's like if you like that type of run and gun style where you're shooting, not really getting in cover or doing takedowns and aerial ground pounds, then this is your game. Only bad thing is the traversal. So if you're like driving from one place to the other, it takes a minute. There's really not that much in between. Sometimes you can get caravans where you can buy stuff. Sometimes you'll see like a group of random enemies, give or take. Um, this is also one thing I really dislike about this game. The only fast travel is to the main towns in the game, which there's like 3 or 4. And if you haven't, hit it, unlocked it yet, you can't fast travel there. But if there's like another place you need to go, like an art, which are the things that you get your powers from, you can't fast travel there. You have to fast travel to the nearest town and then go there. And Lord forbid if your vehicle blows up and there's not another one near you. Because that happened to me before, and I had to run probably a good 6 minutes before I found another vehicle or found another town. But yeah, overall, Rage 2 is a great action game. Story, you can really just ignore the story because it's basically kind of like what I said it was with Far Cry New Dawn. It's like you go find somebody to help you. Hey, I need you to do some things for me, clear out some stuff. They even have a meter of like your reputation with them when you do missions for them. And then once you get it done, you unlock another story mission that gets you towards fighting the big boss. But yeah, that's my number 8 game, Rage 2.
Why was every single mission? Because I remember I did play it because it is on Game Pass. So I'm like, all right, cool, Rage 2. Why is every mission like 4,000 feet away from each other?
I have no idea why.
It's freaking blasphemy, yo.
It is weird because like one of the missions for the first person you meet is like over there by where one of the other main towns is.
Yes.
Across the map. So well, I guess I might as well just stop in this main town just to get the point so I can fast travel here when I need to.
But I agree with you. If you just look at it for mindless violence, it is fantastic. Speaking of violence, my number 7 game is Judgment for PlayStation 4. And look, I think me and you both are like fans of the Yakuza, the Yakuza games and things like that. So seeing this, I instantly got excited. It is a fantastic spin-off. Technically, you might as well say it's a spin-off of, the Yakuza games. I like the campaign. You basically a detective mixed with a little hilarious shenanigans that goes on in Japan. My boy Kiryu is gone. There's no more Ryu or nothing like that. So it is a sudden change in characters. Like if you go from Yakuza to this, because Yakuza is kind of more cartoony, a little bit more over the top characters. But Judgment, it was a little bit more grounded. It was like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, basically. So the gameplay was great because you was basically still like kicking people in the face with bicycles. So when you kind of think about it, the story-wise, it was grounded, but the combat was still like over the top. So sometimes you would be like, man, this is getting kind of crazy. And then all of a sudden, you're picking up bikes and doing finishing moves all over again. But the only thing that I really didn't like was like the little stealth tail missions that they made you do. And it was so many of them. They also tried to throw in like little Phoenix Wright type little mini games and stuff. Well, I actually enjoyed that because I do like the Ace Attorney, games. But yeah, man, them little stealth sections was horrible. They could have kept those. But I will say, as far as like the characters, since it wasn't like so many of them, and I think it's probably the first game since Yakuza 2 to where you never really leave. You know what I'm saying? So
stay the same character.
Yeah, you stay the same character. You stay in the same area for the most part. The majority of the game. So all in all, man, I really had a good time playing Judgment. Like I said, it gave me the Yakuza feel. Now it just makes me want to play a sequel to Sleeping Dogs.
We can only dream.
I know, man. But yeah, that's my number 7 though. Judgment PS4.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely be talking about that more because that is somewhere on my list.
I was wondering if it was.
Oh, it's on there. It's definitely on there. So my number 7 is gonna be Astral Chain, exclusive for the Switch, made by Platinum Studios. People that brought you Metal Gear
Revengeance.
Rising or
Revengeance.
Revengeance. Okay.
Yeah.
Your Revengeance. So this is basically a. Is it in space? I don't think it's in space. This is basically a post-apocalyptic cop game where you and your, I think she's supposed to be your twin sister. I don't know, but she's your sister.
Yeah.
And your adopted father, who's the police chief, I joined the police force. They got these chimeras, which is like monsters from a different realm, which the police force has uh, tamed. So basically, it's kind of like Pokemon in a sense because you get different chimera.
Or like Jay, you remember that game Jay Cocoon on PS1?
Yeah, it's like
What?
that. So you connect it with your chain, and that's how you like do it. And it's a good kind of action. There's some puzzles in it too. It runs spectacularly well for a Switch game, which was my main concern because I'm like, all right, I know Switch is cool. Typically, only the first-party Nintendo games are really well optimized, like your Smash Brothers, Mario, Donkey Kong, Zeldas. This ran fantastic. There were some hiccups and glitches, but that was like when a bunch of stuff was happening. Usually during boss battles, but that maybe happened 3 or 4 times with my time of playing the game. But yeah, it's pretty good. There's kind of a little detective work in the game as well because you got to go talk to people and find out information to get to the next point. Only thing I would really say, if you play this game, don't play it in handheld mode because it looks horrible. Play it in the dock mode. This is not one of those games that you can play in handheld mode because there's so much motion going on, especially when you're fighting, because there's like a dodge button. You got a button where you control your chimera. There's a button where you can like shoot it out with the chain and then wrap enemies around it to trap them and then attack them. And there's a bunch of movement on screen. So if you do play it, please play it in dock mode on a big screen because it looks fantastic. Undock mode does this game no justice. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty good game. I want to say I'm about 2/3 of the way through, so I'm not completely done with it, but I've put in probably a good 12 to 15 hours. I probably could have beaten it by now, but I like doing some of the side stuff, especially in games like these. But that's my number 7, Astral Chain.
I played a little bit of it, and I thought it was fantastic. So I'm not surprised that this was on your list at all. Number 6, probably be a shocker to you, but my number 6 game is going to be Mortal Kombat 11. Look, I'm not gonna make no secrets about it. Over the years, I've been trash at fighting games. I've had really no desire to play fighting games. I played like Mortal Kombat X. It was cool. I really wasn't a fan of like some of the newer characters that they had, so it kind of took me out of it. But Mortal Kombat 11 brought all of that back. Just the storyline is basically like the resolution of like what Mortal Kombat 9 from when they brought it back to like what it is now. Look, long story short, because it involves a bunch of time travel in the Mortal Kombat universe, and it's confusing enough, so I'm not even gonna break down what the story was. Just know they're trying to get rid of Raiden. Raiden is evil now, and basically it's time to get rid of Raiden out of the timeline. But when you think about like the graphics, like all the fatalities and brutalities was off the chain, dog. Like it was. Now, obviously, you have to be a fan of blood and gore. So if you got a weak stomach or you're squeamish, it probably wasn't for you. But they did bring back a ton of fan favorites. You know what I'm saying? They got rid of a bunch of the characters that was really unnecessary. I don't understand why Baraka wasn't in Mortal Kombat. You know what I'm saying? X, but they did bring him back. They brought Frost back, Scarlet, Jade, and the most important character of all, Cabal. Some of the DLC characters has been fantastic. Now, it hasn't been all good though, because I swear to God, why do I have to grind with every single person individually just to unlock stuff? That was probably actually that was the main reason that made me stop playing it. Like once you beat the story mode, if you're not really playing online or with none of your friends, you don't have, like most fighting games, you know what I'm saying? You don't really want to play them no more. But the fact that you had to sit there and grind, and it was basically much like loot boxes. You really didn't even know what you was actually getting. Like the stuff that you actually wanted, you had to probably have like a level 35 Liu Kang or something like that just to be able to get like another headband. But other than that though, like I said, fantastic fighting game. You know what I'm saying? The combo system is great. Don't y'all ever in y'all life put Ronda Rousey as Sonya Blade ever again, because she was freaking horrible. Worse than her WWE run. But Ronda Rousey aside, Mortal Kombat 11 is my number 6 game in 2019.
To touch on that thing where you said you have to like unlock stuff for a character, I think they changed that because I think in the Injustice games, it would unlock, like if you play the game, it would just unlock random stuff for any character. And then a lot of people were like, well, hey, I only play these 2 or 3 characters. Why can't I just unlock stuff for them? So I think I remember them saying that whenever this game was about to come out, as far as like, yeah, you play the character, you'll unlock stuff just for that specific character you play.
I mean, that's fine, but it took so damn long, though.
Yeah, that's probably the thing they left out. It's like, hey, yeah, you character. It's going to probably take double the amount of time as it was before, but hey, you guys get what you want. Yeah, Mortal Kombat 11 was good. I have no qualms or I have no interest in Mortal Kombat games. Well, let me phrase that. Playing the Mortal Kombat games. I watched the story on YouTube and it was fantastic. And all I can say is, what are they named? The Fire Thunder God?
Yeah.
Was not expecting that, but that was also kind of cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. Shout out to Liu Kang.
Exactly. The rightful mascot of Mortal Kombat, not Cassie Cage from 10.
Case in point, why did I'm not even gonna go there.
My number 6. This is actually second. Technically, it's a third. This is gonna be my second Steam Switch exclusive. Steam World Quest. I think it's called, the subtitle is Hand of Gilgamesh.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is the 4th game in the Steam World game series. There's Steam World Dig 1, Dig 2, Heist. And the thing about this is like each of the games is a different type of game. So I think the first game was like a platformer. The second one was like a turn-based strategy game. And this one, which goes with the other game I mentioned earlier in my honorable mentions, is a card battle turn-based RPG. Honestly, this was just a really good chill game to play. Usually when I was playing the game, I was listening to music or I was like on lunch at work, just in my car chilling. And basically you build a deck. You have these 3 characters. There is a story. Story is kind of straightforward. You're these 3 characters. Your town gets attacked by this military. Of course, that turns into a bigger problem. Now there's like this ancient evil that happens, and then like the hero who like saved the world from this evil all those years ago is trying to bring that evil back because everybody forgot that he saved the world from it. So he's like, hey, if I bring this evil back and I defeat it, everybody will remember me and I'll be a great hero again. Just some basic. Yeah, exactly. So stories, whatever, but it's really good because you basically, like I said, you have these cards. You get to play 3 cards per turn, and then of course you can stack. And if you mix certain cards, you get combo attacks. You get 5 characters. You get the first 3, and then I think you unlock 2 other ones. Yeah, 2 other ones, and each character has their own kind of different style. So one of the characters is just a straight melee character. The other one is a wizard. The other one is kind of like a paladin, so they do a lot of healing damage. The other one does a lot of dark damage, and then the other one's kind of like a quick ninja character who can do a lot of quick attacks and multiple attacks in the same turn. But yeah, it's on Steam too, but as I said, it's mainly on Switch on the console. So if you like those type of games where you can build a deck, play the game, it's, for the most part, I played on the hardest difficulty, and even that was easy. The only time it got hard, maybe like 1 or 2 of the bosses was kind of difficult, and it wasn't really difficult as far as like it was hard. You just got to build your deck a certain way, so you can't just keep the same deck and try to do the same thing, because you'll come across other characters who have different buffs, debuffs.
Okay.
Like, you know, it's like fire, ice, electric, dark, light. And some people are immune to that. And then you'll get into boss battles where like one enemy is immune to electric, but the other one is weak to electric. So you can't do an electric attack on the whole enemies because you'll only hit one, and different things like that. But there's a arena mode once you get kind of like 2/3 of the way through the game. So you can go there, kind of grind up your levels, get some extra cards, get some special stuff you can't get through the main story. That way, once you do get to like the final boss, which final boss wasn't really that hard. It's just one of those things where like he has a bunch of health. He has a bunch of health and he has like 3 different forms.
So basically, the Kingdom Hearts boss is what you're saying.
Pretty much, because the first one's like, oh, this is easy. And then it's like, well, now that you beat my first form, I'm going to take you into this dark realm where we're just floating in air with all this purple smoke around us. Now that you beat my second form, it's
Side note, not to get out, have you played this game called The Bouncer on PS2? You done probably heard me talk about this game or see me talk about this game a lot.
Yeah, I played it before.
Okay, so you remember the end boss. He started out fully clothed. You beat him the first time. He take off the first jacket. And he gets a whole new bar of health and he gets colder. You beat him the second time. He takes off that jacket and now he just got the little leather coveralls on. Basically, every article of clothing he removed, he got better. So this is basically what this sounds like was going on this game.
Exactly. And it's the same thing. You don't get... I think after the first one, you get like a free revive from the hero because he tries to do it and he gets his butt kicked. But the last two fights is like, nah, you gotta hope you have some potions and all this. And yeah, but overall, it was a pretty good game. I think it took me about 30 hours to beat it. I probably could have beat it shorter, but like I said, there's kind of a arena where you can just fight through waves of enemies and get special stuff. So I did some of that to help with the end game, but that's my number 6 Steam World Quest.
My number 5 is a game that you trash. It's the 5th game in the franchise, by the way. But my number 5 is Gears of War 5, and look, I've been a Gears of War fan for the longest. I will go give Coalition a lot of props because they did a good job of basically making Kate, you know what I'm saying, the main character for Gears of War now. Considering you know was Marcus and Dom, and then you played with JD for a little bit, but I was kind of concerned after Gears of War 4, considering she was kind of whiny a lot and got on your nerve. But the transition and the growth from her 4 to 5 was great. Look, story-wise, she's got family issues. I'll just leave it at that. Her mom is back as whatever you want to call them. Either way it go. The gameplay was fantastic. The skiff missions, it was okay. They didn't really take too much from it. I didn't really find myself deviating a lot from the actual main path on where we were supposed to go, because honestly, besides the little upgrade points for Jack, you really didn't have no reason to go off the main path. Speaking of Jack, I did like the fact that he is part of the combat now. You know what I'm saying? Little special upgrades and abilities that you get locked. My favorite one was Hijack, because with Hijack you can make the Locusts fight for you for a little bit until they ended up dying. But yeah, like I said, I like Kate. Okay. Here's where my gripes come in. And look, obviously, everything about this game ain't perfect. For the second game in a row, you pull the Sopranos and faded to black at the end. I'm sorry for anybody who has to beat the game or YouTube the ending of Gears 5. But once again, you have to make a real difficult decision. And you really don't even just have time to, you know what I'm saying, deal with the consequences of that decision, because next thing you know, boom, credits roll. Now listen here. This is the internet, so I'm sorry. Listen here, goddammit. If y'all come out with Gears 6 and y'all don't have a definitive ending to this, I will officially be done. But other than that, no, I take that back. The escape mode, it was okay. Basically, escape mode was 3. It's you and 2 other C-list Gears of War characters, and you basically trying to escape from, a locust swarm or something like that. It was alright, but it was generic. So the online was okay. If you're not doing the arcade mode or nothing like that, then there really wasn't no point to do it. But shout out to the Terminator DLC that they did have online. I think I played with Sarah Connor the most, and Batista. Shout out to Batista too. But other than that, I really enjoyed Gears 5. But like I said, don't do this again with the story mode. Give me a freaking ending, yo. And I want to say what the decision was so bad, but it's just one of the situations where it's oh, okay. And then boom, credits. F y'all for that. But Gears 5 is my number 5 game for 2019.
Man, that's funny. So my number 5 was actually something that was on your honorable mentions is Jedi Fallen Order. And the reason that it's number 5 is kind of the same with you. I haven't beat it yet. I am probably a good, like I said, probably a good 2/3 of the way through the game, so I'm probably about to come up on the end. I kind of messed myself over and I didn't specifically do it, but I kind of pieced together kind of how the story goes in the end for the most part. Um, just with stuff online. But I honestly didn't really care because this game takes place after episode 3.
Yeah.
So the time between episode 3 and 4. So I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, and I'm not up on all the lore, but I kind of have an idea of like what's going on with like the Order 66 happening, and Cal being on the run from the Sith and everything. So one thing that was super cool when I first started playing this game. So for y'all that don't know, the character that plays Cal, I think his name is Cameron. He plays young Joker on the Gotham series, which me and my wife watched a good deal of. So he basically plays. His name's not Joker; it's Jerome on there.
That's the same person.
That is.
Wow. I actually like Jerome as a Joker on Gotham, to be honest.
Yeah, he was really good. But yeah, so he plays young Joker Jerome on this. And the funny thing is, like in the beginning of the game, where he basically gets found out that he's a Jedi, he basically gets thrown off his platform. He gets caught by this stormtrooper. And it's a QTE, but the stormtrooper is like, hey, why did you just fall from the sky? And it was so funny because he was like, I'm calling backup. And he was like, I really don't want to do that. But he did it in his Joker voice. And I was like, all right, now I just gotta like go through this whole game of just imagine the Joker with a lightsaber and force powers and stuff like that. But overall, the game is amazing, beautiful game. It is a little rough around the edges. There is some polishing issues. I played on PS4 Pro. I've heard the PC version runs better. But yeah, overall, it's a good game. If you're a Star Wars fan, this is definitely a pickup. If you're just like a story fan, like if you like Uncharted, God of War, Horizon, just a very story-driven game, this is for you. A lot of people have compared this to Dark Souls. It's Dark Souls light. The combat never feels as punishing. It really just, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you just got to get used to it, and then once you get used to it, then it's fairly easy. I'm playing on the second to last difficulty, so not, I think Grandmaster is the top one, so I'm playing on the one below that is. And yeah, overall, I mean, it's been a pretty good game. Even though I kind of have an idea how the game is going to end up in the end, I am still eager to see how everything goes as far as where the story goes from there. I don't know if there's going to be a sequel, but if there is, I would definitely like to see if it'll be like a direct sequel from this, or if they'll go like between a different time period, like maybe between episodes 6 and 7, since we just had a new trilogy just end.
Thank God.
And maybe do a story through there. But that's my number 5, Jedi Fallen Order.
I can't be mad at that. Like I said, I didn't want to feel like I was doing it injustice and put it on there without finishing it. So that's why it's on my honorable mention. But I am gonna finish that game though. Cause yeah, like I said, it's fantastic. Number 4, a game I think me and you kind of like had quite a few conversations about, but the Outer Worlds is my number 4 game. For one, it's so beautiful, dog. Like I've taken plenty of moments where I just sat back and just like paused the game, just like observed the scenery. It's snarky, it's funny, it slips in quite a few, like Firefly references or like Borderlands. It's well, I guess you can classify it as kind of a loot shooter a little bit. A little, yeah, you do loot a lot, but just stuff like the surprise twist. It wasn't really as much romance that you could actually do, or at least I haven't found out, because don't nobody want my character for some reason. And I haven't done like a douchey run yet, so for the most part, like the 2 runs that I've had, I've been kind of like a good captain and stuff like that. But shout out to the AI, she is hilarious. Now I know you played it, so I just want to ask you this question: How many times have you thought about like just starting the game, being like, I wonder what would happen if I just gave up his position right now? With the game just in, because you know they are after the dock, you know, and like,
I don't think it ends, because so basically where I'm at, I'm like I told you kind of before we started recording, I'm like on the last 2 to 3 missions.
right.
So you can kind of play both sides, and there's a point where you basically have to choose. So I've done like 2 or 3 missions for the board, and I've done missions for the doctor as well. I don't know if it's really a spoiler. So with doing missions for the board, there's another mission where you're supposed to go to his lab and send a tracking signal where they can find him. You actually tell him, which I did. I told him like, hey, we're just trying to find out where you're at. And he's like, oh, well, send this distorted signal so it'll give me time to, move my stuff. So you can do that, or you can send the real tracking signal. So I don't know if there's a difference. I don't know, like if you send the real tracking signal, he'd be like, oh, hey, I saw you sent the real tracking signal, and just kick you out, or...
He didn't know. Because I like when I went back and did the playthrough, I had went ahead and like just sent it and didn't say nothing. And yeah, he didn't know. So I don't want to say nothing because I don't know if you like, what happens like after that. But he didn't know. So yeah, there is like a difference in the story mode between them. But I will say, then I'll throw it to you. The NPCs and your companions, they are really well fleshed out. Especially the mission, I forgot her name, but the short-haired chick where you go to like meet her parents and stuff like that, and you kind of find out that they basically faked her death for her life insurance money. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it kind of made sense to why she act the way she act, you know what I'm saying? Like throughout the whole game. So I did like that. The only thing I really didn't like was the fact that it just ended so abruptly. There's no new game plus mode. But other than that, the Outer Worlds was fantastic. It almost cracked my top 3, but you kind of pulled a Mass Effect 3 with the ending, fam. Like you just ended, literally just ended. That was it, and that's really all it was. I feel like the game was kind of short too. Like I don't really know how many hours I put in, but I don't really feel like I just put in like a lot with a game like that. So. But other than that, the Outer Worlds is fantastic. So that's my number.
Oh yeah, I think most people say you can get through it in about 15 to 20 hours if you don't do much side stuff. But I've been doing all the side stuff that I can. So I haven't checked, but I want to say I'm probably closer to that 25, 30 hour mark. There isn't any romance, but I did get a couple of dialogue lines that may have suggested maybe it was something they could have put in there, but they didn't. The girl you were talking about, Ellie, I was doing something. I was talking to somebody, and then I got a dialogue option saying like something along the line. I was making a joke about like getting shot in the butt or something, getting shot out by guns, and I was like, some. I guess I don't have to have any bullet holes in my butt or something. She was like, oh, I guess my daydreams just got better. So there's that. She's really the only person because I know Pavarti's in the other girl. I don't know about the other people.
And the black chick, she just want to get drunk. So, all the
time. But for my number 4, is gonna be Control. Remedy Games. This is another story heavy rich game. I will go ahead and say this up front. If you don't like reading, well, let me rephrase it. If you don't like reading a bunch of in-game text manuals and stuff, or stuff that you find, this game might possibly not be for you, because that's kind of one of the things about it. It's like you play as I'm blanking on her name. I think it's something with a J. You play as this girl. She's looking for her brother who's disappeared from a paranormal activity when they were younger, and some weird out-of-body force brought her to this building, which is the old house, which is basically the FBI for paranormal activity. But it's just like a normal building. Like nobody ever goes in or out. But when she gets there, everybody's gone. Like nobody's at the front desk. There's really nobody there, so she just walks in and tries to figure out what's going on. the director, who's like the head of the old house, you find him. He shot himself in the head. I don't know if he actually killed. I don't know. There's a lot of vagueness in this game. And then after that, he like talks to you from another dimension and kind of guide you. Fun fact: I think the director was the guy that played Max Payne in the last Max Payne game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the dude who played Max Payne is in this game. The actual voice actor and face model. The dude that played Alan Wake is in this game as well. I forget who he plays. I think he plays someone else, one of the scientists or something.
But that makes sense considering the company that made it.
Exactly. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty good game. It's combat is pretty good. Shooting, you get powers like telepath, dodge. You can throw stuff. You kind of can't fly, but you kind of do like a little high jump and dodge in the air and float a little bit. But yeah, overall, the game is cool. The only thing is like the main character likes to talk to herself in third person a lot. So like you meet the security team that's there and they're like, hey, we're trying to figure out what's going on. And she hasn't really told anybody why she's there. So like, they're like, oh, hey, what are you here for? And then it's just like the camera on her face and she's monologuing. She's like, should I really tell her why we're here? I don't know. I don't really think I trust her that much. You know what? Why don't I just tell her? And then it kind of does this weird fourth wall thing where like she's talking to herself, but it's like it's talking to you. And then like she'll say something is like, yeah, that was the right thing to do, wasn't it? And then she'll like slightly look at the camera and then look back at the person that she's looking at. So it does that type of weird stuff too. But yeah, overall it's a good game. I'm playing it, of course, on PS4 Pro. It's not the best optimized game for consoles. So if you're playing it on like an OG Xbox or PS4, I have heard there is a lot of stuttering and frame rate issues. PS4 Pro, I haven't really had too many issues. Only thing is like if you like turn off the game and load it back up, sometimes the map takes a long time to load in, like maybe 10 to 15 seconds. But other than that, pretty much ran well for me. But yeah, there's some DLC that came out, like a little, what are those modes called? Not like story DLC, but kind of like it's basically where like you use her powers to do trial.
Ah, okay, like having like VR, Metal Gear Solid VR missions and all that other little stuff. Yeah,
it basically did that. That came out, I think, around Christmas, and then there's story DLC coming at the beginning of next year, which goes into like how the whatever it's called, how that place became what it is today. But yeah, overall it's a great game. Like I said, if you don't want to do a lot of reading and try to decipher third person monologuing, it may not be the game for you, but that's my number 4, Control.
I was meaning to get to that, but it just gave me so many Quantum Break vibes. I was a little skeptical, you know what I'm saying?
I will say this, it is better than Quantum Break, one, because it doesn't have like 25-minute real life unskippable cutscenes the first time you watch it. And it's not really Quantum Break was kind of heavily focused on gun gameplay, even when you got your powers. But
True.
In this game, the gun is like a morphing gun. So like you get one gun, but you can unlock different stuff with it. So you can make it become a machine gun, make it become a sniper rifle, make it become a shotgun, and then get different attachments for it as well. So it's not really too focused on that. It's just focusing on deciding what type of weapon you're going to use.
Ah, okay, guys. I need to check that out. All right, my number 3. We're getting down to the big boys now. My number 3 is a game that you mentioned earlier, though, which is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. In order to not sound like everybody who raves about this game, I'm just gonna say that I love it. I am a big fan of like games like that. I mean, I was playing like Tenchu back on like PS1 and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to use, you know what I'm saying, your little grappling hook and be able to, you know, use that to traverse around, you know what I'm saying, those times is great. The combat, when you finally get a hang of it, and I said get a hang of it because, look, if you found a way to master fighting on this game, then you that dude. That's really the only, or that woman, you know what I'm saying? So, but other than that, though, I am a fan of the story, as crazy as it is. I mean, look, sometimes the best stories are the ones you really don't fully understand. Sometimes the wackiest storylines are the best ones. So, my number 3 is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. game is just so damn beautiful. That's really another way to describe it too. I think Ghost of Tsushima gonna have beat when it comes out, but as of right now, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice looks fantastic.
Definitely agree on that. So my number 3 is actually your number 4, The Outer Worlds. Um, it honestly, no, I don't think it would be on my 1 and 2. It's number 3 because, as you said, it's an amazing game. It's basically a Fallout game without the jankness. Yeah, kind of just to piggyback on what you said, I definitely did have a good time playing it. You kind of really legit have options of doing everything. Like you can literally, I seen somebody do this on Twitch. You can literally just go through and just kill everybody in the game. Like if you really wanted to do that, you can just go to any town, just kill everybody. There's will still somehow be a way for you to get through the final mission. And
Ow.
I don't know, like he killed Ellie, he killed Pavarti. He didn't have
no companions, no nothing
at all. He just went in. And he was a melee character too, so he was just going in there, just heavy armor, big club, and just going to attack.
Jesus.
But yeah, you pretty much, you can also, this game is very heavily focused on speech checks, so you can pretty much talk your way out of almost anything. There's been fights I've talked my way out of. There's been to get into places. There's been ways I've talked my way out of that. So that's one thing I definitely like, especially in these type of games. I always go for it. Somebody who has high because there's 3 different ones. There's persuade, lie, and intimidate. I went persuade, so I got that to 100 last night when I was playing, and I think I got 100 long guns. So like I use a lot of assault rifles and shotguns. But yeah,
next time, make sure you get your hack up too, because that is hack and lockpick. That will definitely get you a lot of places easier.
Oh yeah, I think I got lockpick to 100, but hack is like at 50, so that'll probably be the next one I try to max out before I beat the game. But yeah, you get a lot of options. You can talk your way out of stuff. You can just skip a lot of stuff. Like I said, the game, if you just mainline the story, it can be short. I have heard you can probably beat it in about 10 to 12 hours if you just kind of just do the main points of the story. But the side stuff is just so good. Like you said, the companion quest, I did the one for the pink-haired girl where I basically had to go around and...
At first, I was gonna say, man, forget these tags, man. They're gonna be collecting our tags if we keep going this route.
Exactly. By that time, like I said, I kind of overpowered my character, so like I don't think I've really come into any combat situations that I couldn't beat in like 10 or 15 seconds at this point. Yeah, overall, I like the game. The only thing I would really say, I would like to see a little, and maybe this is just me, but I would like to see a little bit more customization when it comes to the armor. For instance, you have 3 types of armor. You have light, medium, and heavy. Of course, heavy gives you the most defense, so in most cases, you're gonna have heavy armor. Even though there's really cool looking regular clothes, you can't upgrade it to be like the same as your heavy armor, which I guess I kind of get. Like, you don't want to wear like a suit and tie and be able to withstand bullets like you have spacesuit on, which I get. But as a aesthetics wise, I wish it would kind of have like what they have in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you can equip a piece of armor with stats, but you can also change the appearance to whatever you want it to be. Even though I have like this 63 defense armor, I can make it look like I'm wearing a suit or just some regular space clothes. So that would be kind of, even though it is like a 3rd-person game, you don't see your character that much at all until like you're in the pause menu. I kind of have my companions in spacesuits too, so it's like I'm playing Mass Effect because we're all just like spacesuits.
As long as it's not Andromeda.
Just gonna act like that didn't happen. But yeah, overall, Outer Worlds is a good game. Like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to see what they do as DLC or do as potentially a sequel, because you definitely can see some things that they maybe wanted to try but maybe didn't have the budget, or since this is technically this is an indie game, they just wanted to make sure like, hey, let's just make sure the game works first, and then maybe on future iterations we'll be able to expand more or try different things. But that's my number 3, The Outer Worlds.
And I think you're right though, because honestly, they announced that story DLC kind of quick. So maybe that was like, okay, well, this is a little bit more successful than we thought it was, so we can go ahead and drop through some more content. All right, number 2, Resident Evil 2 remake. What a way to start the year out, because it came out in January, if I'm not mistaken. I think this was like one of the first games that came out, and I've played it literally the whole year ever since then. I know how you feel about remakes, but when you think about it, this is the way you do it. I mean, you know, you got the remaster, you got the reboots. Case in point with the Final Fantasy VII that they're about to do.
This I would count as it, because with remakes, it's basically making a new game. Like this, if I was into like Resident Evil, playing games like that, this would probably be on my list, because it's technically, even though it's based on the original RE2, it's a whole new game. Like no tank controls, you can actually see Leon's face this time, and it's basically just a whole different game. Like if you just slapped a different name on this, like just call it Zombie Hunting 2019, it's basically different from Resident Evil. But yeah, this one I would consider for my list. But
okay, well, look, it brought back Mr. X, who was way more. Well, nah, I take that back. Nemesis will forever be the most annoying Resident Evil protagonist of all time. That's including Albert Wesker. But you know, Mr. X was back, chasing you around the whole game with this dang fedora. With the fedora and the trench coat, he was rocking literally the whole game. Nothing was more annoying, fam, than just chilling in the room, right? And then all of a sudden, you just hear the door open, and then there's Mr. X creeping right by you like the tallest ninja I've ever. He was so silent, fam. But you know, story mode was great. The game looked beautiful, yo. Like, if there's one thing about Resident Evil games, they always give like that scary yet beautiful zombie moment. So, you know, in the beginning when you first played, you in the police station, and then, you know, the zombies biting one of the dudes next, and then the little slow creep up, you know, with the eyes and the blood dripping. So yeah, man, I've had such a fantastic time revisiting Resident Evil 2. They've announced that Resident Evil 3 will be next, and for some reason they giving Nemesis a flamethrower now. He already has a rocket launcher, yo. He does not need a flamethrower to go along with that. But as of now, Resident Evil 2 Remake is my number 2 game. Like I said, I had a hell of a time playing it. The nostalgia it gave me, you know what I'm saying? There's certain moments you like remember, like the old PS1 games and moments like that. So yeah, my number 2 game is Resident Evil 2, the remake.
All right. So for my number 2, and this is also technically going to be another Switch exclusive, even though it's on Steam. It's seeing kind of a theme here with my list. It's going to be Katana Zero. So this would probably win my award for most unexpected game of the year. I forgot how I heard about this game. Maybe I seen somebody stream it, or I heard it on one of the podcasts I listened to. And I was like, okay. So I looked at it and I was like, all right, this looks pretty cool. It's a 2D side scroller. I guess you can kind of say beat 'em up, but it's really way more in depth than that. So I bought it on Switch, and it's beautiful. Now this game you can play in handheld mode. It looks really good in handheld and on undocked mode. So the best way I can describe this game, especially story wise, just imagine like Metal Gear 1 Solid Story, but you're playing as a child soldier who's a samurai. Well, a grown-up who used to be a child soldier, and he's a samurai. This game is so trippy. I had WTF moments where I did not know what's going on. Basically, you play this samurai, like you walk around with like the little gi and sword, and you go see your doctor, who like shoots you up with this drug, which I guess you took, which basically helps you do samurai stuff. You're a hitman. That's what it is. You're a hitman for this psychiatrist. And basically the mission is like, you get this dossier. It's like, okay, here's who you're gonna go kill. Here are your rules. Like, don't kill anybody or don't get spotted by guards, what have you. And you go do the stage. Then it's a stage, and then, you know, you get the cutscene and do all this. I'm not gonna spoil too much about this, because this game is best experienced on your own. If you don't have a Switch or you don't care to play it, just watch a playthrough on YouTube. story is that good. Um, Somehow there's like this little girl who's your next door neighbor because you live in this rundown apartment, but you can't tell if she's real or if she's a figment of your imagination because like nobody else sees her but you. Um, there's this Russian gangster guy that you meet who may be your psychiatrist because there is a scene where like he captures you and he's torturing you, but it like switches in between that scene and you being the psychiatrist. So there's a foreshadow that he may be controlling you this whole time with this drug. Apparently, there's this war in like Malaysia or the Middle East that you were a part of when you were younger. Um, there's this dude called the Dragon thought who thought you were the dragon, but actually turns out to be somebody else who was your partner. It's crazy, and then it sets up at the end where it's like, all right. There's one of those things where it's like you and the little girl like on top of your apartment and like you're about to go get somebody and you're like, all right, let's go get them. But again, you don't know if this little girl is real. You don't know because you're having withdrawals from the drug. And like eventually the drug is supposed to kill you because you can slow down time in this game due to the drug. But if you like go too long without taking your dosage, it'll basically like, I think the way they word it is that you get stuck. Like you don't realize what the concept of time is. You just basically go crazy and die.
Oh damn.
Yeah, but yeah, that game is really fun. It's pretty, like I said, pretty self-explanatory. It's one of those one-hit games. So like if you get hit, you die, but you can just restart the level and just rewinds it. Oh, that's what it is. So when you actually play the levels, it's not actually you playing the levels. It's like him planning out how he's gonna do it. So once you finish a level, it shows a replay of him walking in and then doing everything that you just did and then completing the level. So that was kind of like a little yeah, like a nice thing that they kind of added in to kind of explain why you can like take so many hits because it's just him planning it out in his head before he actually does it. But yeah, overall it was a really amazing game. Like I said, it probably would have been my number one, but I think I beat it like in 5 or 6 hours. You can honestly probably beat it in a couple of hours if you just kind of blast through and don't really care about the story. Because there are multiple endings. There's the fake ending where like you're 2/3 through the game and then you pick a decision and then you just like get shot by police. And then it's game over. And then there's a secret boss where like you can fight the psychiatrist. There's like a certain path of stuff you have to do up until that point. And yeah, it looks super hard. I didn't get it because I didn't know I was just playing it blind. But after looking at it, it was a pretty trippy boss fight. But yeah, that's my number 2, Katana Zero.
I need to check that out because it sounds ridiculously crazy. So those is like the type of games that I like, especially the storyline wise. There's so much going on. Number 1. I don't even think I need to say it because I'm pretty sure you knew what my number 1 game was gonna be in the first place. But my number 1 game 2019 is Devil May Cry 5. And oh man, what can I say about this game? Okay, so for one, considering the Ninja Theory reboot that they tried to, do with the whole design of Dante. To be honest with you, if they would have just left Dante design the same, just kept the gameplay that they had, I don't think it would have like got shat on as much, as it did when it came out. Because honestly, a lot of the gameplay stuff they got, there is still elements of it like in, DMC 5. They brought back Dante, the OG Dante, even though he looks like an albino Kurt Cobain now, but it's fine. He's back to being himself, playing with V. Even though I could kind of see who V was, like you could kind of see where this was gonna go. As predictable as that was, it was still done expertly. Perfectly. Playing with V felt different than playing with Dante and, Nero. So the fact that you could just use the D-pad to switch out your gaming styles, which means that it was easy to pull out, as crazy as combos as you did. Honestly, I personally like playing with Dante the most. Storyline wise, it's Devil May Cry. I'm interested to see where we go from here, considering how we did end. I did like the fact that Nero is no longer whiny. well, as whiny as he was on 4, I'm sorry, he still looks like Cody Rhodes to me, fam. Like, if he goes blonde, he will look just like Cody Rhodes. So every time I play Devil May Cry 5, that's the first thing I think about. Like, man, Cody got that Devil Trigger going. Speaking of Devil Trigger, the soundtrack for Devil May Cry 5 is just stupendous. I actually listen to Devil Trigger like probably once or twice a day. The song just gets me out like all the time. But I can go on and on about this game, but my number one game of 2019 is Devil May Cry 5. What about you, sir?
So for my number one, reason I put this as number one because one, I beat it. Two, it's probably the game I had the most enjoyment and fun playing all this year. Actually, one of the games that you had on your list is actually Judgment for the PS4. Now, I just recently became a Yakuza fan a year ago, 2 years ago, when I played Zero, when I was getting ready for 6. So I bought the bundle that had 0 and 6. Instantly fell in love with Zero. I think I have maybe about 150, 160 hours on my save file, but that's because I did all the side missions, and then there was a time where I literally just farmed Kiryu's side missions so I could just have a bunch of money that I would transfer over to Majima.
Smart man.
Yeah, but as far as Judgment, like you said, it's a spin-off from the Yakuza series, and as you said, it is more grounded, so it's not as wacky. There is still some kind of cliche, cheeky Japanese stuff in this game, but it doesn't go as wild as you did in, well, at least in Yakuza 0. I haven't played 1 through 6 yet.
Oh no, it's just as wild as those, so yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so this is definitely more grounded. As you say, you play as Tak, who I like. It's kind of interesting to see a Yakuza game or a Yakuza-based game from like a legitimate standpoint, like not from like a criminal underlord who's trying to find out somebody who did him wrong, but like you legit play like a lawyer who had some stuff happen to him, and he becomes a detective, and then it kind of weaves back in like what originally happened that made him stop being a lawyer throughout the story. But yeah, the fighting was cool. I kind of wish he had more fighting styles. I guess I'm just so used to 0 where you had 4. You can unlock the secret one, and then just switching in between them. I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't see much difference between his two styles, so I just stuck with the red one because that one did more damage. So after I got, him leveled up a bit, I just stuck with that one. The mini games are always good. Drone racing was pretty cool. It was cool when I first started it, but after I did it for a while, I was like, it didn't really grow on me like the pocket car racing did or the other side missions from 0. But yeah, overall, like I said, I enjoy the game. If you want to play a Yakuza game but don't want to put in the time because they are long, I beat this game in about 35 hours and I did the majority of the side stuff. Meaning like I did probably about 60 to 70 of his, what are they called, detective things?
Yeah, little cases.
Yeah, cases. I did about 60 to 70% because I think there's some that you can only get after you beat the main game. And then I didn't really do too much. Oh, the dice game in this game. Did you play that? The 3D?
A little bit.
Yeah. Just imagine Mario Party, but like in VR. Like if you had a VR headset on. And that's basically what it is. I didn't put too much time into it because there is like, you can't just go in and pay for it. You have to like find these tickets around town, which kind of sucked. But the little bit I did play of it was really amazing. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, overall, like I said, I love the game. The story was good. The only minute issue I have, well, let me ask you this. Have you beat the game yet?
Yes.
Towards the end of the game, there's a lot of situations that I like to, sometimes I have to suspend my belief in reality. There's a lot of stuff in this game where Todd definitely should have died, but not just by magic. Like, there's a killer going around that's killing random Yakuza members, which you find out for various reasons. Literally, Tak is like at point blank range with this dude running away, and this killer, who, mind you, he's a professional hitman, so he's like shot people from like 50 yards away. He's like killed people without making them bleed. Just happens to just randomly miss Tak. Like he's like 4 feet away from him. He's just like missing him. So there's that. Just a bunch of stuff. I mean, overall, the game is amazing. The ending was okay. I mean, I kind of saw it coming from like a mile away after a while. The reason that the reason they were poking the eyes out, that one I didn't expect. That one kind of,
yeah, that was a little grotesque.
it was. I understand why they did it, although I don't know, because I don't think they would have been able to like trace it back to the dude that was doing it, I guess.
But this is weird.
It was very weird.
This game was a good mix of like flashy and ridiculous.
Exactly, yeah. But grounded, flashy, and ridiculous.
Right.
It's not going to make you think too much about it, but it's also just like, all right, there's a little bit of pizzazz.
Literally. Like,
oh. Let me ask you this, because like I think you're the only other person I've spoken to that's beating this game. Did it creep you out a bit when you had to do the makeup mission?
Yeah.
And then you had to walk down the street as her?
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, I felt that was. I guess I get it, but that's always just.
No, I don't. It was weird. I didn't like it.
For y'all that are wondering, basically to do a story mission, the law firm used to work at. There's a girl that works there that used to be a coworker. So basically, she has to act as a hostess in this bar to get information for you. But you do like this little makeup game, which was in Yakuza 0, was a side game, so that's not new. But the thing about it is, like, after you get her all dolled up, you and Top walk back to the office. But you walk as her in first-person mode. And there's basically dudes whistling at you, just saying, like, just imagine being a nice-looking female walking down a New York street in Japanese. That's basically, so that was a little uneasy.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
It was weird. Like, I get it if they were trying to put it in for like a special effect, but I just kind of felt like
you could just let us walk down the, you know what I'm saying, walk down the street or something, man.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, like I said, overall I enjoyed the game. I'm really looking forward to Yakuza 7. I know that's supposed to come out in Japan next month, actually.
Which means we ain't getting it till 2021.
Hopefully we get it in the summer. That's fingers crossed, since they had such a success with Judgment. Because I think Judgment came out, I'm gonna say it came out around the same time, because it came out in June in the US, and then I think it came out earlier 2019. Either end of 2018 or beginning of 2019 in Japan. So that leads me to believe that maybe we'll hopefully get this summertime or maybe towards the end of 2020.
That would be fantastic.
That's my number one for this year, Judgment for the PS4.
I'm kind of surprised it's number one though. Not really. But I was also over here thinking like, okay, you still ain't said it yet. We was getting closer and closer. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, my number one wasn't a shock to you at all.
Yeah, once I started doing my list and I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Alright. But yeah, like I said, overall, I enjoyed this year in games, maybe more so in the past couple of years. Next year I'm not looking forward to, because
just February and March alone, we got Final Fantasy and Cyberpunk 2077 both coming out around the same a week within each other. I need more than a week to be Final Fantasy.
Exactly. I'm definitely gonna need more than a month to be Cyberpunk, and then we got Doom Eternal supposed to come out.
Oh man, just
Persona 5 Royale comes out on March 31st, so I gotta do that.
And that looks like it's gonna be so. Oh man, come on, yo.
Then you got May. You got The Last of Us that comes out in May. Allegedly, Watchdog Legions is supposed to come out in May, because that got
pushed back again. And I forgot all about that. It got pushed back so much. I was just like, oh, God dang it. See? We probably gonna be doing a top 10 list in June before the summer even hit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's my top 10 games for the first 6 months of 2020.
Right. Probably gonna have to have 2 lists like you. The honorable mention list gonna have to be 1 list by itself.
Yeah, because I know there's supposed to be a lot of indie games. 13 is supposed to be getting a remake that's supposed to come out next year.
You lying? Yo, that was my game on GameCube, son.
That's why I was excited. It was supposed to come out in November, but I guess it got delayed. But yeah, they're supposed to be remaking, so I guess building from the ground up. in a different engine.
Oh, I'm with that. I'm definitely with that.
Ori 2, Ori and the Will-O-Wisp is coming out March 11th.
I know Dying Light 2 supposed to drop.
That too.
Like I said, Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, that's coming out in summer.
Oh, man, this is just gonna be ridiculous, yo.
There's supposed to be a new Tales game coming out next summer as well.
Oh yeah, and see,
Rise, that's what it's called.
I'm finally getting the Wolf Among Us 2. You know what I'm saying, which I am excited for. Thank you, Telltale, for finally dropping that. So yeah, I can see 2020 is probably gonna be worse than this year. And we just named games that's coming out within the first 6 months.
Yeah, because we're probably gonna do a top 30.
Nah, I probably will. Why you laughing? Because 10 ain't gonna be enough. I can like we just named like what 6 or 7 games right there.
That's just what we know of.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, do you have any final words, final remarks before we get out of here?
Nah, I mean, like I said, you know, another good year. It's always great to do this list with you, you know, at the end of the year. So appreciate you, you know, always with the invite. God dang it, man. Now I'm gonna go back and play Judgment again.
Oh yeah. Well, I definitely do appreciate you coming through. Like I said, definitely enjoy having you on. I guess we will see y'all later. Also, y'all let me know down below what y'all top 10 games of the year is. See if I have anything similar to ours. We'll see y'all later. Peace.